Hello everyone and welcome to another video on my channel, and it's time for round number 1 of Screen to Speed Summer Cup on F124. And I was very excited when Screen to Speed announced there was going to be a league on this game, because I've been following the league for quite a while when they've been doing competitions on GT7 and iRacing, and I always thought to myself, when will there be an F124 league? And lo and behold, there is one, and I'm really excited to get underway. But the first round was around Jeddah, and I have to say, that is a track that I usually don't get on with, so I had to practice quite a bit to make sure that I was confident about this track. It's definitely one of my weakest tracks on the game, but I get to race with some fantastic females, so what's more to love? So here's a quick look at where I'll be racing at this season, and it's a very familiar calendar because it follows the same tracks as F1 Academy have gone and will be going to. So as I said earlier, we'll be starting at Jeddah, then we go to Miami in a week's time, then we got Barcelona, Zandvoort, Singapore, Qatar, which is one of my favourites, and Yas Marina to round off the season. And it is a really good calendar. Quite a lot of tracks I love, but there's quite a few that, again, we'll need to put a bit of time in. But without further ado, let's get started with round number 1.
Okay, me again, mate. We've made some changes to the way that ERS works this year, so you're going to have multiple modes to choose from in the race now. Have a play around with them in your MFD during the practice sessions and think about how you might use them on race day. I'll check back with you soon to chat more about it.
So there is Mark again telling us about the ERS modes that we can use. And he seems to tell me in every race, even though I've done quite a lot of multiplayer races on F124. But hey ho. So this is a practice session, and we get given an hour of practice before we head to the main qualifying session. And this is just to get a little bit of a feel for the track, know where we're going to be racing at, and to see what type of strategies we're going to be doing. And that's great, because there could be some people in the league that may not have time to practice during the week, and there will be people that could be joining late, so it gives them enough time to join the session before qualifying gets started. So I decided to go on the hard compounded tyres to kick off my session, just so I know what it's going to be like, because I have a feeling that I was going to use the hards throughout the session. And it took a while to get the tyres up to temperature, as I found out. I had to go very slowly, weed the tyres a little bit. And this game rewards smooth driving, so I can't afford to be too over-aggressive during practice. I just want to see in what areas I can improve and what areas I can push out of my comfort zone too. So this practice session was very beneficial to me. I was really shocked when I was doing my hard compound tyre runs of how long the tyres lasted. You can see on the right hand side it had very low wear, and on F123 by the time I did 15 laps it was way more than that. It was in about around the 30s and the 40s. So it meant that I had a rough idea that the hards could last a bit longer around here, which meant if we had a early safety car, I could come in and pit for the hards early and not worry about whether they could make it to the end, because they could get it to the end. But it does depend on obviously when the safety car gets called, if any. Because if it gets called really early on, you probably may have to think about staying out and stuff like that. But it does depend on the situation. So I was pretty happy with my hard stint. So I came into the pits and did some medium tyre runs just to see what they were like. And then I did some soft quali stints throughout the night as well. And that was my practice session. And welcome to the first qualifying session of the season. And this was a pretty big deal to me because I was only running ABS and line as my assist, and I've been so used to running medium TC and auto gears as well. So these qualifying sessions was quite important because there was no pressure on me. It was my first league race, so if I don't do well in this qualifying session, I wouldn't be too disappointed. Now, as you can see, this was my first lap around Jeddah in qualifying. Had a bit of traffic behind me, but I wasn't too bothered because, again, it was my banker lap, and I know I could go quicker later. And this part of the track I coped very well at, and I didn't go off the track at all, which is always a bonus. So it was a good start to the lap. I had a rough idea of what the other drivers were setting in terms of lap times as well, but it didn't distract me at all. I was just focused on my own performance. So I was able to do a lap which was enough for pole position to start with. And I was thinking, right, I could be quite quick here, but I couldn't afford to become complacent because there could be people that could improve on lap times when the track evolves and stuff like that. So I just put my mind at rest a little bit and kept my calm head, and I got myself ready for my final lap of qualifying. So it was crunch time. I knew I could go quicker than my banker lap, and there was some more time to be found. So without further ado, you get to enjoy my hot lap around Jeddah with no commentary and just pure engine noise. So enjoy. So I was very, very happy with that lap, 129.7, and everyone else just completed their laps, and that meant I got my first league race in pole position. I was really, really happy about that. I was not expecting this at all coming into tonight because of the amount of good drivers that we've got, but it shows that practice was worth it, and I knew what I was doing potentially. But I couldn't afford to become complacent once again because I have to deliver in the race. I did not know what my race pace was going to be like at this track, so I just had to keep my focus once again and see where the road took me. So this was something I was not prepared for. Jeddah in the daytime. I thought I was going to change my strategy a little bit, but I didn't want to change my original plan. So I started on the medium tyres. I didn't think the softs were going to last very long into the race, and I knew the hards wouldn't be a good starting tyre either. I had trouble warming up my left tyre. As you can see, they're very cold, whereas my right tyres are absolutely fine. But I had to deal with it as the race went on. And I went to my grid slot, and it wasn't a problem at all, actually. I achieved purple, very close to red, but luckily that didn't happen. So this was my first league race on F124. The 5 red lights are on, and we are go. And a pretty clean start, but once I got to third gear, I was too weak on the throttle, and Sophie and Artemis got past me. Yvonne tried to pass me as well. I went off the track a little bit, which was a bit naughty of me, and the game gave me an illegal overtake warning. Now, I didn't want to let people through because there was some AI behind me, and I was worried I could lose time. So I thought I would stick to getting a penalty, and I thought it'd be 5 seconds or something, but no, 10-second time penalty. They upped the penalty system on this game, and you know what? I just had to focus on the rest of the race, and not have that negative mindset. So it was Sophie that was leading the race. It was Artemis in second, who is part of the Red Bull development program with me, and myself in third. Artemis went off the track, so that was a free position for me. It was a bit of a shame that she lost a bit of ground. So I had plenty of DRS as well, and this was my first opportunity to go for a move. So heading towards the start-finish straight. DRS is not enabled just yet. Overtake on though. I tried getting her this lap, but unfortunately I wasn't able to make it stick. Sophie did an incredible defensive move, which I was very impressed with her, not gonna lie. So I tried going for this move once again into this next part, and there were some opportunities where she made a mistake and I could have capitalised, but I wasn't feeling very brave enough. But this was the moment where I had my chance. I was right on the back of Sophie's gearbox. I had some ERS to use, and I had DRS as well, because DRS was enabled on lap 2 this game. So I put the throttle to the floor, DRS wide open, overtake on. To the left-hand side I go, in towards turn 22, and I got the job done, and I made it stick. But she was still hunting me down, so I couldn't really back off and save some tyre wear. At this point, I had to really focus on defending, and she was trying to go for the move in towards the final few corners. She would have DRS on me, which I was a bit worried about, so I had to use all the ERS I had left. So I went side by side with her into the start-finish straight. I defended to the left, as I saw Sophie do earlier on, because I knew that would work. There was a bit of banging wheels at one point, but it was some really clean racing between the pair of us, and I just have to say Sophie is a really good racer. She does, I think, all the other series on screen to speed, and you can tell why she loves racing so much, and I really hope I get to race with her again in the future, and maybe for the rest of the race as well. So it was a good moment just to actually battle with another lady. I really, really enjoyed it. So I was able to keep the lead for a while, and we just started lap 5. I set the fastest lap of the race so far. The gap was 5.8 seconds, but bearing in mind I had a 10-second time penalty, which I had to serve at my next pit stop. I would need a miracle to make sure I would stay in the lead, even with that 10-second penalty. But I saw someone retired from the session. There was a virtual safety car that was deployed. I was thinking, okay, what happened? Could there be a safety car that we can have? And the safety car was deployed. So it completely screwed the strategy I was going to have, because I was wanting to stay on the mediums for as long as I can. But the beauty of doing practice earlier on was I knew how long the hards was able to last. And I took the gamble that the hards were going to last around about the same time as I did practice. So I decided to box for new hards and hopefully take them to the end of the race. Quite a few people behind me got damage as well, so that was a no-brainer of a decision for me. And I did a boo-boo. I forgot to map my pit stop button, which meant I turned into the pit stop late, which meant I lost loads of time, which was very, very annoying. One of the mistakes I've made in this race, but you can learn from your mistakes. So I had to quickly, during the safety car, map that button, and I didn't have any problems after that. So Artemis was leading the race, but she did not pit during the safety car. She was on the mediums that she started the race on. And that meant I had a tyre advantage during the safety car restart, as you can see here. So the safety car came this lap. I had to make sure that my tyres were warm enough for this, but I did not bother looking at the tyre temps. But I'm glad I didn't, because it would have been cold anyway. So we were heading towards the final few corners. I was keeping an eye on Artemis very carefully indeed to see when she would go, because I knew that Sophie was behind me, and Sophie is a quick driver, and I had to get advantage on her too, so I had to worry about two drivers. Artemis went underway, so I had to use my overtake button straight away to make sure that I could try and get past her. I tried getting past in turn number 1, but I thought that wouldn't be smart of me and I would hit her otherwise. And I thought there would be another opportunity to get past at another point of the lap. So we're heading towards turn 3 and 4 now. And that is a tricky part of the track for me. So I really didn't want to go for a move there either. But I knew I would have the advantage later. So I just focused on being patient. So I decided to see if I could try and go for a move there. I know it was a bit risky, but you never know. I love to take gambles on F124. So I took the left-hand side line, tried to give her as plenty of space as I possibly can throughout that corner. And I got the move done. And that meant I was in the net race lead and the on-track race lead, which was great to see. So I had to keep my head down for the rest of it. Now, people may think, oh, you're leading the race. You should probably keep calm and carry on. I was not calm. I was against myself at this point for a majority of this race. I was basically driving by myself with clean air for most of it, and I was against myself. It was lap 15 of 25. I was on the hard compounded tyres for about 10 laps at this point, and it was starting to have a little bit of wear, and this proved it because I spun for the first time this race. But I kept my cool, and the spin was easy to catch, and I was able to keep going. And it was very important for me to have a positive mindset on life in this race, because if I didn't, I would end up making more mistakes, and I would probably lose my win. I was focusing on the gap behind me, because if the gap was big enough, I was going to pit onto the soft compounded tyres towards the end and go for a fastest lap opportunity. Because I thought, why not? You know, I don't really like the hards anyway, and the softs have the most grip, and I wanted to try and gain as many points as possible in the Screen to Speed Summer Cup. So I ended up pitting for softs, as you can see, and I ended up mapping my button anyway, so I had a perfect pit stop. Bing, bang, boom.
Right, let's go. Come on.
I pretty much treated lap 24 of 25 as a qualifying lap, even though I had more fuel than expected. The beauty of F124 was that there are multiple ERS modes, as Mark said in the beginning. You can run hot lap mode in the race now, so I was able to use this to try and get a fast lap attempt. There was a lapped car, and I was very glad there was a lapped car, so that meant I was able to have the DRS, which was great, which means I was able to gain more time throughout that lap as we head towards the final sector. I was purple in both sectors, which was great, and I ended up crossing the line to start the final lap, and I ended up getting the fastest lap so far, and I was really hoping that nobody was going to beat my fastest lap attempt, because I worked for it. I worked for that fastest lap attempt. I have to say, my first Screen to Speed race went a lot better than expected. I had really low expectations going into this one because I didn't know what the abilities of the female drivers were going to be. But I would definitely recommend any female who has F124 or is going to get F124 to race in this league, because there's so many amazing people. So I came across the line to take the checkered flag, and I win race 1.
Nice. On to the next one.
So it was a bit of a relief for me that I came across the line to win. There wasn't really much of a reaction. It was just more the phew, thank goodness Jeddah was over. And I was watching my teammate about to finish the race as well. She was almost a lap down, but thank goodness she wasn't a lap down. So, but because there was AI in front of her, she ended up finishing P2 in the race. And I was really happy because we got a Red Bull Sim race 1-2, and we got some decent points out of it, which is great news. So that is your top 3 with myself in P1, Art Smith P2, and Sophie in P3, which is great because I battled with all 2 of them throughout the race. So it was great that we were all in the top 3 together. So the next race on the Screen to Speed F124 Summer Cup calendar is Miami. And I have not raced a proper race around Miami on this game. So again, I do not know what to expect. I know I'm going to be practicing a little bit earlier on in the week this time compared to last time, just so I could get a little bit of a feel for the track. I'm pretty nervous for this one, plus we're planning to potentially have some more ladies racing, which is great. And you too can get involved if you are a female sim racer and are interested in racing with like-minded female racers, and you can race with me as well. So make sure you go on the Screen to Speed website. I will put the link in the description for more information. You can also see the calendar on your screen too, so you know when the dates are, and you got to commit to majority of them anyway. It doesn't matter if you miss like one or two, because I know quite a few people are going to miss one or two in this calendar anyway. So thank you very much for watching this video. We hope you enjoyed it. We will see you next week for another Screen to Speed video. See you soon. Bye bye.